He was the most beautiful angel, the Lightbringer. But he made a terrifying choice. He looked at the perfection of heaven and said, "No, I will not serve." Tonight, we explore the fall of Lucifer and the chilling psychological reality of those who choose absolute freedom over safety.
Yeah, and, in this deep dive, we're really examining a single, incredibly powerful source, one that connects this ancient biblical mythology directly to modern clinical psychology.
Right, and just to set the tone, we're definitely not here to debate theology today.
No, not at all.
There are no competing historical arguments we're trying to weigh. We're looking at a shared human reality.
Exactly, a reality that's, frankly, just as relevant to someone sitting in a corporate cubicle today as it was to the earliest storytellers.
It really is.
We are going to unpack a pretty dark, melancholic truth about the human condition. We're exploring this psychological landscape that is entirely defined by the heavy, often hidden cost of absolute autonomy.
So let's start by stepping back into the myth itself. Because to really grasp the psychology we're going to get into later, you have to feel the sheer, oppressive scale of the original story.
We really do.
The setting is heaven. But I want you, listening right now, to reframe what heaven means in this specific context.
Yeah, you have to wipe away the cultural imagery, right? The fluffy clouds, the harps, all of that.
Completely. Think of it instead as a place of absolute, flawless perfection. It is a flawlessly optimized system.
Right, zero entropy.
Exactly. Zero entropy. There's no decay, no chaos, no uncertainty whatsoever. Every single entity exists in a state of divine order.
It's like a cosmic machine.
Yes, a machine where every gear turns in silent, perfect synchronicity.
And, that is the ultimate manifestation of structure and determinism. In this mythological framework, heaven represents an infinite safety net.
Right. You are infinitely provided for.
Yes. You are shielded from all harm, from all want, and crucially, from all unknown variables.
But there is a catch.
A massive one. That immense safety is entirely predicated on a singular, non-negotiable condition: absolute obedience to the architecture of that system.
You do not write the rules.
No, you execute them. You do not steer. You simply follow the track that's been laid out before you.
And within this flawless zero entropy system, you have Lucifer. He was the most beautiful, the most capable of all the angels.
A Lightbringer.
Literally, that's what his name translates to, the Lightbringer. He isn't just, a participant in this paradise. He is its brightest, most aware inhabitant.
He possesses this radiant intellect, an unmatched capacity.
Right. But the friction, the real conflict, starts precisely because of that capacity.
Yeah, the brilliance he holds actually becomes the catalyst for something entirely unprecedented.
In a universe that has only ever known order.
Exactly. Because, think about it, with elevated awareness comes the inevitable capacity to observe the system you exist within.
Rather than just blindly operating inside it.
Right. The turning point of this entire myth, it isn't born out of some sudden chaotic malice.
Or just pure cartoonish evil, which is how it's sometimes simplified.
Right, it's not that at all. It is born out of a desperate, clawing desire for autonomy.
Yeah.
When you possess that inherent power and brilliance, the realization dawns that despite your greatness, you are still ultimately a subordinate.
You are a subject within an empire you do not control.
Exactly. Your brilliance is merely a tool being utilized by the system's architect.
So he looked at this infinite, flawless paradise, and he realized he had no true agency.
None.
And he simply refused to bow down. He refused to be a servant, even if the master was a divine and the cage was made of pure, unadulterated light.
The profound rejection.
It is. And I want to pose this to you listening. Think about the concept of heaven in this myth. If paradise requires total submission, does absolute perfection start to feel less like a reward and more like an inescapable gilded cage?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He made a conscious, deliberate choice for rebellion. He looked at the perfect machine and decided to throw a wrench into it.
Knowing full well what it meant.
Exactly. Which brings us to the defining declaration of this entire narrative. Standing on the precipice of paradise, looking out at the void, he declares, "Better to reign in hell than serve in heaven."
And honestly, the absolute finality of those words is chilling when you really break them down.
It really is.
Because he is acknowledging the dire consequences before they even materialize. He knows exactly what he is rejecting.
Infinite safety.
Right. And he is fully aware of the desolate landscape of where he is going. He is actively choosing the void over the structured paradise.
Demanding the right to define his own reality.
Even if that reality is agonizing.
And the punishment for that choice is just catastrophic.
Oh, yeah.
Picture the brightest being in existence, physically cast out of the light. It's not just a polite departure.
No, it is a violent ejection.
An agonizing, endless descent away from everything known, everything safe, everything structured. He is stripped of paradise and thrown into a dark, smoky abyss.
A place of literal nothingness.
Chaos. Absolute separation from the warmth of that divine order. He trades the infinite light for total darkness, entirely by choice.
And see, that transition moving from the mythological heaven into the terrifying abyss of the unknown, that is precisely the psychological translation we need to make today.
Right, because this brings us into the modern era.
Exactly. Moving from the ancient text into the realm of modern psychology, we confront a phenomenon that clinicians and philosophers often call the burden of absolute freedom.
The burden of absolute freedom.
Yes, this isn't just an old story, it is a literal blueprint of the human psyche when we are confronted with the terrifying prospect of true independence.
Okay, so let's ground this in our reality for the listener.
Yeah.
Where is our heaven? What does this flawless system actually look like in the modern world?
Well, in our everyday lives, heaven is the massive established systems we inhabit. It is the societal architecture that dictates the rhythm of our lives.
Like the corporate world.
Exactly. It is the comfort of a stable corporate job with a predictable salary. You get health benefits, a clear organizational chart.
The safety of following a well-worn societal path.
Right. You go to school, you get the degree, you climb the ladder, you invest in your 401k, and then you retire.
It's conformity.
Complete conformity. You know exactly what the rules are. You know exactly what is expected of you on any given Tuesday morning.
And as long as you play your part, the system provides for you.
It keeps the cold out. It keeps the anxiety of the unknown at bay.
It's essentially the ultimate corporate gig. I mean, the dental plan is flawless, right? You never have to worry about where your next meal is coming from.
Right. The provision is absolute.
But the catch is you have zero true upward mobility in terms of defining your own purpose. And of course, HR is omniscient.
That's a great way to put it. It's an incredibly comfortable place to be. You don't have to invent the rules. You just have to follow them.
So why would anyone leave?
Well, psychologically, human beings are actually deeply hardwired to crave this exact type of structure. Oh, absolutely. From an evolutionary biology standpoint, to be outside the tribe, to be outside the system, meant certain death on the savannah.
Right. You couldn't survive alone.
No. And our brains are essentially prediction machines. We desperately want to minimize predictive error.
Okay.
When you exist inside a massive established system, your brain can relax. This is a clinical concept known as cognitive offloading.
Cognitive offloading, meaning you don't have to think about it.
Exactly. You don't have to constantly calculate your basic survival because the system has already done the math for you. Conformity acts as a psychological buffer against existential dread.
But then you have the mind of the rebel.
Yes, the independent creator. The entrepreneur.
These are the individuals who possess that same spark of profound autonomy we saw in the mythological Lightbringer.
Right. They look at this massive established system, our modern heaven, and they feel a deep, fundamental friction.
They look at the predictable life, the comfortable trajectory, and they realize they are merely servants. Servants to a system they fundamentally do not believe in.
Exactly. They realize the beautifully paved road is taking them somewhere they don't actually want to go.
And so they make a modern Luciferian choice.
They decide to walk away.
They reject the comfort.
They reject the safety. They look at the established empire and decide to build their own from absolute scratch.
Demanding sovereignty over their own time, their own energy, and their own destiny.
Yes.
Now, I get the psychology there, but it's wild to think about it that way because on the surface, we celebrate these people, right? We put entrepreneurs on magazine covers.
We absolutely do.
So to really lean into this, it's like the entrepreneur who leaves the safety of the corporate ladder, their heaven, to sweat it out in a cold garage. They are trading guaranteed safety for independence. But what is the actual psychological toll of stepping out of the light and into the unknown? Why is it so horrifying?
It feels like a triumph in the movies, but you have to look at the mechanics of what the brain is actually experiencing in that transition.
Right.
We celebrate the success of the rebel, but we rarely, if ever, examine the psychological horror of the process.
Because it's invisible.
Exactly. When you leave the system, you aren't just losing a bi-weekly direct deposit. You are severing your connection to that cognitive offloading we just talked about.
Oh, wow.
You are suddenly thrust into an environment where every single variable is unknown. Your brain goes from a state of beautifully managed prediction into a state of maximum predictive error.
Which sets off all the alarms.
All of them. Evolutionarily, your nervous system interprets this absolute freedom not as liberation, but as an immediate visceral threat to your survival.
It's like being in the system is riding a train.
Yeah.
You might not like the destination, the seats might be a bit uncomfortable, and you have absolutely no control over the speed, but you never have to think about the engine or the tracks or steering. You just sit there.
Right, just endure the ride.
But absolute freedom is stepping off that train in the middle of a barren desert and realizing you now have to build your own car out of the sand.
That is a perfect way to visualize it. And the act of trying to build that car out of sand induces massive, crippling decision fatigue.
Because you have to decide everything.
Everything. Inside the system, your choices are bounded. Do I send this email now or later? Do I attend this meeting?
Right.
Outside the system, in the realm of absolute freedom, your choices are infinite. An infinite choice is paralyzing.
You have to decide what your business even is, what your values are.
How you're going to survive the next month, what your daily schedule should even look like on a basic level.
The sheer neurological load of having to invent your reality every single day from scratch is just staggering.
It is exhausting.
Which brings us to the real climax of this deep dive. Let's look at what actually happens the morning after you quit that safe corporate job.
Right, the hangover of freedom.
Exactly. The romanticism we see in the movies fades immediately. The smashed chains lose their novelty by noon.
They really do.
Psychologically, you haven't just gained freedom. You've lost your existential buffer.
By rejecting the structure of heaven, you instantly lose all your safety nets.
All of them.
You trade the peace of conformity for the crushing anxiety of true independence. And here is where we get to the core psychological mechanism.
Okay.
The loss of the external scapegoat.
The external scapegoat. Think about your own job right now, or a job you've had in the past. When something goes horribly wrong on a Tuesday, a project fails, a client leaves, a deadline is missed. What does your brain do?
It instantly looks for an external target.
Exactly. You blame your micromanaging boss. You blame the convoluted company policy.
You blame the terrible software.
Or the shifting economy. You have an external target for your frustration, and more importantly, an external entity to absorb the blame for the failure.
Right. Your ego remains completely intact because the system is flawed, not you.
The system takes the hit.
Exactly. The system acts as a psychological shield. It protects your fundamental sense of self-worth.
But when you step into the abyss of absolute freedom,
that shield evaporates completely.
Yeah.
When you declare, I will not serve, the floor drops out from under you. You are in free fall.
you are trading safety for anxiety.
You are actively, consciously choosing to be anxious. Because the alternative, being safe but subjugated, has become intolerable to your spirit.
But the cost of that choice is the burden of the kingdom, the actual horror of freedom. Let's really drill down into what that feels like.
Yeah.
When you finally achieve that absolute freedom, when you clear out the brush and stand in the middle of the empty space to build your own kingdom from scratch, you face a terrifying truth.
You are the architect.
The builder, the ruler, and the sole inhabitant of this new reality.
And if the walls of that new reality collapse, there is no one else there.
No one.
There is no HR department to file a grievance with. There is no manager to step in and fix the quarterly numbers for you. If the empire you are trying to build fails, there is absolutely no one else to blame but yourself.
And that is the true psychological horror we are talking about.
It is the sudden, stark realization that every failure, every misstep, every ruinous outcome rests entirely on your shoulders.
The burden of absolute freedom is the burden of absolute responsibility.
Complete.
You can't blame the economy because you chose to enter the market.
Right.
You can't blame a bad boss because you are the boss. Every failure is a direct indictment of your own competence, your own worth, your own vision.
And that realization must create a profound, echoing silence in the mind.
It is a lonely, cold place. We always romanticize the rebel. We picture them standing triumphantly on a mountaintop, hair blowing in the wind.
Exactly, the hero's journey.
But we never talk about the silence of the abyss.
Oh, cool.
If true freedom means total, inescapable responsibility, is this psychological hell just the crushing loneliness of our own minds when we realize no one is coming to save us?
It is exactly that. It is the terrifying realization that you are completely untethered.
Untethered, yeah.
When you strip away the system, you strip away the ego's armor. Psychologists note that individuals who take this path often experience profound periods of isolation and deep self-doubt.
And it's not because they lack the skills.
Right. No, not at all. It's not because they lack the skills to succeed, but because the psychological weight of having zero external scaffolding is so immense.
You are generating your own light in the absolute dark.
Yes, it requires a daily, relentless exertion of sheer will just to keep the anxiety, the doubt, and the darkness at bay.
Because in heaven, the light is provided for you.
Right.
In hell, you have to burn yourself to create it.
Oh, that's incredibly well said.
It makes you look at the concept of rebellion through an entirely different lens. It's not just a dramatic exit.
No, it's the acceptance of a massive psychological toll. The realization of the cost of autonomy is profound, and it is overwhelmingly heavy.
Yeah.
The absolute freedom that the rebel seeks, that the independent creator demands, is incredibly lonely. It is cold.
So the myth of Lucifer is not just some ancient abstract story of cosmic defiance meant to explain theology.
Not at all. It is a highly accurate mapping of the daily psychological reality of anyone who demands to build their own empire. It is the literal experience of standing in the void you have created, feeling the crushing weight of your own independence, and knowing that you are entirely, unequivocally alone in your sovereignty.
Reigning in your own hell is the ultimate freedom. But remember, you have to reign there alone.